Welcome back to the Meta Minds podcast, where we're all about relentless self-development and consciousness optimization. On today's episode, we have Chrissie with us, also known as BrisbaneGirlInAVan, and she's converting a truck into a tiny home at the moment. So would you be able to tell us a little bit about your journey?
Sure. So before I bought my truck, I lived in a vintage camper van for a year. It was breaking down all the time. It wasn't good. So when it finally died, I was sort of living in its carcass for a bit. And bit the bullet, and I got a loan and bought the truck, which was reliable. It only had one owner, and it was in South Australia, so I had to learn to drive it after I purchased it and drove it home. And I've been living in the back ever since. It was a bare metal box when I first got it, and bit by bit I've been slowly making it homely and putting all the little things in. And it's not finished yet. It's 2 years since I started, but it's looking pretty good now.
That's great. That's really cool.
Crazy because I suppose with that you can kind of live in it while you add tiny little bits to it. You don't have to like make this whole home and then wait until it's completely finished before you kind of like move your things in there, which is cool. So
yeah.
Then it's like a consistent project. You can kind of keep adding little things to it as you need, I suppose. So
it's got its pros and cons. I mean, after a big day of working on it, which I'll be honest, they're rare, but after I have a big day of working on it, I sort of go to bed that night and I'm like, this is so much more livable.
Yeah.
This is so much more comfortable, and it's a huge feeling of accomplishment. But then again, it is hard to work on it sometimes because I don't have electricity. And a lot of my tools, I need to plug in, so I have to go to a friend's house and use their garage. And a lot of things, my bed will get in the way or my clothing will get in the way. Recently, I redid my floor and I had to remove my entire cupboard, which was full of all my things, empty it out, move it across the floor, put the floor in, and then scratch the new floor as I put the cupboard back.
Oh, no. Is it like bad, like noticeable? Or?
Oh, yeah, it's noticeable.
Oh, really?
These are
the learning process, I guess, right?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't bother me too much. I mean, it's a livable space. It's going to get scratched up. I guess it's a bit of the look about it. I don't want it to look shiny and new. Like, I kind of want it to look like a bit of a wood cabin thing going on.
Yeah, nice. Adds character to it, I'm sure.
Exactly. It's character scratches.
Yeah. That's great. So when did this journey start, and what kind of started motivating you to start this journey? It
was just over 3 years ago. I'd had a big breakup and I was living in an apartment that I was renting on my own, and I was never there. I was always, I started to be very healthy and I was out camping a lot and seeing friends and spending time overnight. And I'd get home and I kind of felt like I was just sort of blowing the cobwebs off everything, and, I had dying plants there and I didn't have any pets, so there's nothing tying me to it. And I didn't have that like homecoming feeling whenever I got back there. I sort of had this, it feels stale in here. Let's open a window instead. So I thought, what can I do to not have to be stuck in the one place? And I sort of thought of it for a while and eventually decided on a van. And once I got the idea in my head, I just couldn't get it out. And my lease was coming up to finished, and they asked me if I wanted to renew it, and I said no. And I started just wildly selling all my things on Gumtree and Facebook, and I had people coming all through the apartment taking everything, and I had practically nothing left and 10 days to move out before I finally found my van, and it finally was real. And yeah, it's all sort of gone from there.
Yeah, this whole minimalism thing is definitely, I really like just grabbing a bag of things that I haven't touched in a long time, whether it's clothes or whatever, and just like either giving it to a charity or trying to sell it on Facebook and that kind of thing. I've always got like 5 or 10 pieces of clothing up on Facebook Marketplace at any given time, just like, it's fulfilling having less things, I find. And I guess that would definitely be a theme in your life, just having such a small space to put all your things in, I suppose. Like,
I'm obsessed with it. Yeah. I do the same thing. I have probably a bag every second week of clothes that I throw out, and I don't know how I keep finding more to throw out, but I do. And if I can find one thing to buy that'll do the use of 2 things, I'll throw those 2 things out and spend 10 times more on the one new thing just because it makes less clutter.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I didn't know much about minimalism until I realized that I kind of was a minimalist, and I thought, oh, that's what I'm doing. And yeah, I learned a lot about it, and you sort of just buy good quality things in place of a whole lot of crap things. And I think it makes your head a lot less cluttered as well.
Yeah.
Like, you feel great when you throw out a bag close.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the biggest part of it, is that like when I know where everything is kind of thing, you just have this kind of, I don't know, you're not weighed down by all these different things kind of thing. And whenever you go to other people's houses and there's like a lot of clutter everywhere.
You want to clean up.
Yeah, I mean, but you can't say anything. You're just kind of like, this is not my house.
I do that too.
Yeah, it's crazy, I suppose, like the movement of like tiny houses and living in van and that kind of thing. It's a very popular thing nowadays, and it seems to be like very popularized in the last kind of couple of years. Like, did you do a lot of research and find a lot of information on that before you kind of took the dive, or did you kind of come across that stuff afterwards? Or
Well, no, I thought I was alone in a way. I remember I was house sitting with a friend. We were looking after all these exotic parrots, and it was 3 months after I'd moved into my van. So I do that a lot as well, so I can, live in a house short term, look after animals. But I was house sitting with her, and she was having a look at my van, and she's like, "Oh, it's like the whole van life thing on Instagram. There's so many cool ideas on there." And I was like, "What do you mean?" Like, I didn't have Instagram at the time. So a couple of weeks later, I downloaded it and I just looked up the van life hashtag, and I was in awe. I was, screenshotting all these different pictures and all the different ideas, and like all of the different storage solutions. Like, people would screw the lids of jars onto their roof.
Yes, I've seen that a few times. Yeah,
like I probably got 200 magnets in my truck.
Yeah, wow.
Because all my walls are magnetic, and you can get all these ideas from it. But I didn't know until 3 months in, and then I made my own account. And just started doing that as well. And then people would eventually sort of ask me and say, "Hey, how do you live in a van in Brisbane? I want to do the same thing." And so it's quite cool because I met a lot of people through it as well.
In Brisbane in particular, like that are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I've got a friend. I think he started doing it at the same time as me. He bought his truck just before I bought mine. And he lives around Bundy as well a little bit, and he lives in Brisbane and on the Gold Coast, and he's got a staffy, so he lives with his dog, and he's got a motorbike. His truck's a little bit longer than mine, and he does the exact same thing, and he's been doing all the same builds, but like dude version.
Yeah.
Like mine's all girly and wallpaper, and his is all wood and steel.
Oh yeah.
And I've had a couple of other girls message me, and they've ended up doing it. One of my friends, I met her through my blog. She emailed me and said, "Hey, my boyfriend thinks I'm crazy. I want to buy a van and live in Brisbane. I just Googled living in a van in Brisbane, and your blog come up. Can we talk about it?" And now she's living in a vintage, what is it? I think it's her Ford. And she's living all around Mount Tambourine in it, just doing her thing.
Wow, so you're inspiring a movement. How does that feel?
Well, I don't know about that, but I don't really like the idea of it because all my favourite spots will get attention,
Oh, cool.
and I don't want attention from the council. I just want to lay low and quietly do my thing. But I mean, there's another guy. He's actually a pilot. He bought a Ford Transit, and he's been living between Canberra and here in his van, and he did a really sweet fit out, and he does a lot of travel for work, and he's been staying in a lot of places that I stay as well.
Yeah.
We met up right before he did it, and had a talk about it, but haven't run into him yet. But there's a few of them out there doing it now.
Are there any like tiny home meetups as such where people meet up and show their fits?
I'm not sure. I joined a minimalist group on Facebook, and they're quite cool. I went to one of their meetups, and I thought I'd just be sort of sitting in the corner not knowing what to say, and I just couldn't wait to get a word in whenever I could.
Yeah.
But I'd say there's something going on for tiny homes, because I know there are a few in Brisbane as well. I think there's a group that make them in Brisbane as well. It might be the Gold Coast, but yeah, there is quite a bit of tiny house activity going on around here.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about kind of what you've learned either about yourself or in life, or about like fitting out a van in the process of living this way?
Well, I didn't know anything when I began. I just sort of thought, well, we're in a day when there's YouTube and stuff like that. So first thing I did was I Googled angle grinders, and I bought an angle grinder, and I went on YouTube and learnt how to use it, and went overboard and bought like a blowtorch mask, a full face mask, returned it and bought the right stuff, and started cutting holes in my truck. And I didn't know anything to begin with. I thought I was quite useless, and now I'm great with tools. I can look at something and go, okay, I can do this. I've just sort of stopped doubting myself.
Yeah.
I guess I've become more of a tolerant person. I don't care what people think about me anymore. I used to get real hung up on it, and I didn't think that I felt that way, but I did. And now, I don't know, I'm just happy in myself. And I always have people coming up if I'm parked up. So I'll park by the water or something, and people always come up and staring at it and telling me what I should do next, or asking what I've done. And, I guess at the beginning I was very, very tolerant with them. And nowadays I'll talk to some of them, but some of them are just there to be a pain in the ass, really.
Yeah. This is my opinion. And you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah, you need a TIG welder. And, I don't, but thank you.
Yeah.
I get a lot of those. So I think I've sort of learnt to gauge people a bit better, and I've met so many people as well, which has been really cool, because I guess my home's kind of like out there. If I have privacy, I can shut all my doors and everything, but I like to have a view, and I usually park on the beach. So, but I feel like I've grown as a person a lot in the last 3 years, and I'm a lot happier with who I am as well.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's the complete opposite of what society conditions into us, is to have more things and have less quality, more things that you pay more for, which is kind of what you were touching on before. And I found myself doing that sometimes, where you're like, oh wait, I've got 3 of these things and they're all trash items, but I could just spend a little bit more, which is like harder to do in the moment. But then you like throw these things out and get this thing, and you're like, oh, it's so much better quality. I could have been living like this forever and had less things at the same time.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, you're kind of doing the opposite of what society kind of conditions us into. So you're an enemy of the state. Really? No, wouldn't get that far. But yeah, it's obviously because of the whole like housing. Like it's much harder to actually get a house, and obviously, getting a job in this day and age, you have to get a much higher paying job just so you can stay alive and that kind of thing. So these kinds of options, there's a lot more people looking to do these kinds of things, So it's definitely good to see people that are actually pursuing it, I think.
Definitely. In the beginning, I didn't save much money because I was living in my broken down van, and it took me to the mechanics about a weekly trip. I think I spent, I don't even know how much I spent. It was over 20 grand in 9 months just on repairs.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but with the truck, I've been doing a lot of building, and like I do like to spend more on something. Like I spent quite a bit on, for example, my battery system. So I'm not going to have to upgrade it in a year's time. But I mean, I'm still saving a lot of money because I've got a lot of bills, though I had a lot of bills in the past that I don't have to pay anymore, which is great. Like there are a lot of extra bills. Like I probably spend a couple $100 a week in fuel. Probably a couple $100 a week in tolls, but in the long run, it's a whole lot less still.
Yeah, because there's a lot of things that you don't even realize that add up. That like if you do a yearly budget kind of thing, you might put your phone bill and this and that on there, but then people don't think about like car registration, but then also this, which is obviously relevant to you. But then like rent and like other little things like electricity and everything. And if you really add it all up, like even though you're paying a couple $100 a week, like if you actually subtract that from that, you'd be saving a lot more. So
Definitely, yeah.
And obviously the freedom that comes with that, and just being able to actually live life on a daily basis without being kind of tied to some 9-to-5 job, I imagine would be very fulfilling.
Yeah, no, it is good. With my work, I mean, because of my freedom of location, if I'm working a shift, say I finish at 10 p.m. one night and I start again at 7 in the morning, I can just stay somewhere quite close to my work as well. And I go to the gym for showers, drop to the gym in the morning, then head straight to work. And I haven't got that, 30, 40-minute commute that I would if I was living in a solid house somewhere.
Yeah, that's great. So you mentioned before that it took you a few months to discover Instagram.
Yes.
And that was when you were in the process of still developing the van, were you?
I was living in my old van. So it was a 40-year-old Nissan Irvan E20.
Okay.
Which, don't buy one.
No, dude.
They have lots of head gasket overheating issues.
Okay.
But it was beautiful. It sucked me in with its beauty. So it was pop top. It looked kind of like an old combi. It was light blue and had a white roof and had sunflowers all in the windscreen. It was just pretty. But so I was in that for 3 months before I discovered Instagram, and started posting all my pictures of this van. I didn't build that one myself. 84-year-old man who owned it before me built the whole inside of it.
Okay.
It was quite sweet. It had a full oven, like a little Barbie doll oven, everyone called it. 'Cause it was small, but it had like the oven, had the stove, had the grill and everything.
Yeah.
Had a fridge. It had pretty much everything you need.
Yeah. And then you learnt most of your skills through YouTube, did you? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would Google how to use an angle grinder and not looking up angle grinder horror stories or anything like that. And, if I when I built my roof, it took me 5 days to build my roof because I was using a blunt drill bit to try and force the screws into the metal. And I didn't realise at the time because I was still so new to doing it. So ever since then, I'll get a different drill bit that I haven't, blunted down to a fine point, and things will take a quarter of the time.
Yeah.
So it's been a long, slow process.
Yeah.
you can't really like you have to do those things to
Well, that's it, to learn it. Yeah, well,
You got to learn. It's a rite of passage, I think. Yeah,
that's right. And I'm sure
Yeah,
you'll
make
keep learning
mistakes.
as well as you keep going on, as we
definitely.
all do. Yeah.
Oh, there's heaps of things. Like about 3 or 4 days ago, I was parked on the beach and I had my tow bar tongue because I was adding a step onto it, which I bought off Gumtree. And the tongue, I was trying to unscrew the ball off the tongue, and I had it on the ground, and I had both feet on it. I was wearing thongs, and I was trying to get it around with this metal tool. And this backpacker came up, this German guy, and he's like, "Oh, let me help you," kind of thing. And he put the tow bar back in the back of the truck, so it had a perfect vantage point to work on it, and then tried it from there. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I didn't think of that. I just had it on the ground, standing on it."
Yeah.
But yeah, there's still lots of mistakes that I make, and I will continue to make.
Yeah.
That's just
super interesting.
That's
isn't
just
it?
people, though. I suppose you kind of like do something until you figure out that you're like, oh wait, I've been doing that wrong for years.
Yeah.
And you can just kind of laugh at yourself, I suppose, But
Yep.
I suppose doing all the research yourself, like looking it up on YouTube and that kind of thing, like it's those kinds of tiny bits of information that you wouldn't pick up. You'd get the general information, but you wouldn't get all the tiny details. They're the things that you have to figure out for yourself, which is part of the fun, I suppose.
It is part of the fun, and some of the things, I mean, I'll probably do things a long way. I don't even realise I'm doing it a long way, but I get it done, just lots more slowly.
Yeah.
So in terms of like differences to a normal lifestyle as such, can you tell us a little bit about like how you cook your food or you wash your clothes and that kind of thing?
Yeah. So I don't have a proper kitchen yet. I'm looking into that. There's a caravan show this weekend that I'm going to, and I'm going to buy a lot of things. But so at the moment, I've got a 300-litre water tank in the truck. It came with it, and it's got a tap on the outside. So I have to go outside to wash all my dishes and to use water, which is a bit annoying. And inside I've got just a little like butane canister screw-on gas stove. So I use that for everything. And I've used that for 2 years now, and I love the thing. It's great. Like I even thought about keeping it when I upgrade my kitchen, but I think I'll get a double or triple burner because I just do one pot meals. Like I'm the queen of one pot meals. I can do anything in one pot.
Yeah.
So that's my kitchen pretty much. And I have a gym membership, so I go to the gym, and they're everywhere. There's probably 100 of them in Brisbane. It's easy. Other than that, I was quite surprised when I first moved into a van how little my life changed. I think it was a slow process of slowly changing, because I'd still go to work every day and I'd still get in the car and drive somewhere, but I just wasn't driving to a solid house. I was driving my house to a location. But yeah, a lot of things are quite the same. My bed is great. It's probably 2 meters above the ground. So if I park somewhere, I have the best view of wherever I'm parked, which is nice. And I'm putting a boat hatch in soon, so I'll be able to look at the stars while I'm sleeping and climb out onto the roof.
That's great.
Which I'm excited about.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's really cool. So is the next step to fit out the kitchen? Is that what you were saying?
It is, yes.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a big step because I need to hire someone to help me in the way that I have to do a gas installation. And I'm really not happy to have to get someone else to help me with it because I'm trying to be doing it all on myself. But so I'm getting a sink, a stove, and also I think I might do the shower at the same time. I'm going to have the world's smallest shower in there because that needs gas as well. So it's going to be a big chunk of money all at once to do that, but it's going to make it completely livable. I mean, the only thing I won't have then that a house has is a washing machine. And my boss is wonderful. She lets me do my washing at work, or I go to a laundromat sometimes as well.
That's great. And also, when you decide to go to bed or to go to a new location, do you have spots that you normally find yourself gravitating towards, or do you change it all the time? Like, how does that process go about?
I do change it all the time. I do get stuck in a rut sometimes where I'll just go to my favourite spots. So I used to work, when I first started living in a van, I worked on the south side. So I knew all the south side places to stay. And now I work on the north side of Brisbane. So I've learned all the north side places. And I do have probably about maybe 7 or 8 favourite places where they're always quiet, they kind of stay out of trouble, and they have a pretty view, and they're my favourite ones that I'll kind of stay at. But I do sort of look for new places all the time as well. And it is good sometimes when I work an overnight shift, because during the day I can park anywhere I want. Like, there's a lot of places at night where you can get in trouble for parking. But, for example, this morning I parked at Victoria Point, just on the water, and just slept there for a few hours. And I know I wasn't going to get in any sort of an issue because everybody parks there during the day.
Yeah.
So have you run into any trouble on your journey that hasn't been good?
Yeah, a few times. I guess it was a lot more scary to begin with because, like, I'm a girl living alone in a truck in the middle of, I guess, the public. I know I sort of set myself up to feel comfortable. Like, I've got a mad alarm system and I've got all the doors locked from the inside. And, I mean, I've got a massive kitchen knife. It's my kitchen in there. I've got a blowtorch and, you know. But I've had a few sort of incidents where I think people have gone to break in and then they've sort of realised that it's a camper and they've changed their mind about it. About 3 or 4 days ago, I wouldn't really call this trouble, but I got into my truck and there was what looked like a Hokkien noodle someone had dumped on my wipers. So I was like, I'll wipe that and flick that away. And it turned out someone had put glue there to make me wipe it. So that was a little bit annoying. I had to get out and get full cleaning things because I'd just smeared all over my entire windscreen. Yeah, I think sometimes people are kind of loitered around just to sort of get a gauge on what the truck is as well. But I haven't had any real bad trouble, which I think I'm blessed for that.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I mean, like, having glue on your windscreen is pretty damn annoying.
Yeah, that is, isn't it?
It could be a lot worse.
Yeah, that's it. It's not someone trying to, like, break in and hurt you, so that's good.
Yeah.
So do you see yourself living this lifestyle for a longer period of time? Like,
I get asked that a lot. So I got a boyfriend about 7 months ago, and we've made lots of plans for the future. And before that, I'd been single the whole time. Then I was just like, I'm just going to do this until I eventually marry. And then, you know, look into buying a house together. And so now that I've got him, we're sort of planning what we want to do in the future. And I want to save up for a couple of years, I think, and he wants to do the same. And then we're going to take a trip around Australia in the truck. You know, work all the crappy jobs all around the country, pick fruit and, I don't know, shear sheep, work in a bar, whatever. And then come back and decide where the best place is to live and then buy a house there. And that's what I want to do. There's one complication. He has a puppy. So we're sort of weighing up options whether to bring the puppy or not, because I know a lot of people do it, but it will be hard. And already when he stays in the truck with me, it is a lot less space. You know, I'm used to moving around fluidly. I know every corner of the truck. I'm in and out of everything. And then when he's there, I'm like, oh, hello, you're right there kind of thing. And we're both in each other's way a lot. So if we have the puppy, it's going to be even more like that. But then again, there'll be so many awesome times as well.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so probably in about, 4 or 5 years' time, I'll buy a house and I'm keeping the truck. I'm not going to sell it, but it will be more of a weekender thing then, I think, and for taking holidays as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine even thinking about trying to sell that. Would you just have so much connection to it? Like,
no, it's very close to me.
Yeah.
So for anyone that would be looking to get into this kind of lifestyle in a sustainable way, would you have any huge tips that potentially weighed you down to start with that would really help people trying to get into this lifestyle?
Don't buy relentless.
Yeah,
that's my main one.
Got that one, yeah.
So you look into something reliable. I know a lot of people buying old transits and things, and they tend to fall apart. Like, if I was to buy a van, I would have got a high ace, but I know the height is a bit of an issue. They're not tall enough to stand in. So yeah, buy a good van. I mean, even doing the fit out yourself, it's not as hard as it seems to be. It doesn't have to be amazing. Just make sure you have clean running water, which I think is a good thing. And I guess, unlike I did, do research on where you can stay and best options and how safe it is as well. But yeah, I probably would recommend building it yourself. I used to have everybody asking me with my old van, did you build it yourself? And I was like, no. And I just felt kind of, not real good about it. And now that I'm building mine, every little thing that I build, if I put like a little a shelf or something in my cupboard, I'll think, what exactly do I want to put in the shelf? And if, like, in the future, I'm going to be building drawers and things for my clothes, so I can physically tailor make every single thing. When I've built my kitchen, I want to have a few slots at the bottom to put cartons of soy milk and things. And it's going to be completely mine. It's going to have a perfect space for everything that I need, and just tailor made, I guess.
I suppose the there's a couple of advantages to that in that you get to learn all of that process yourself, which is skills that you keep forever.
Yeah.
But then obviously, it's more fulfilling and you have more of a connection to it because you did it yourself. But then also all the little nooks and crannies are there for your particular reason, which is awesome.
It is good. When I first started, I was like, yep, I'm going to have little stashes in my walls and I'm going to hide money in there and I'm going to hide this in here. And I ended up not doing any of that. If it takes me this many days to build this, I'm like, oh, stuff that. I'm not going to put that in anymore. I'll do that at a later date. And, there's lots of ideas that you do have to compromise on. Like originally I was going to have my whole roof was going to be a big deck. And I was like, that's going to be sweet. I'm going to have like a pop-up fence all the way around it. It's going to be amazing. And then the solar panel went up and now I'm like, I've got to put the roof hatch in. So it's down to half a roof deck. Yeah. But I need to weigh my truck because it can't be over 4.5 tons. So I need to weigh it first.
For what reason is that?
For regulation?
So if it's got to be under 4,495 kilos. If it's over, it's over its GVM. I've got to get it, I don't know. It's not allowed. I've got to have a truck license, whereas I have a car license for this truck. Yeah. Which is great.
Yeah.
But that's just the maximum weight it can be, or else it's taken off the road if somebody decide to randomly weigh it. Right. Which is a big consideration too, because my water tank's 400 kilos when it's full, and you think of all the little things, and they really add up. Like my batteries, I've got 2 of them, and they're over 30 kilos each, and all the little things. So there are a lot of regulations, I think, and like with installing my gas, which I'm worried about doing, there's so many loopholes I have to sort of. I don't know. It's going to be quite hard.
Yeah, another whole learning thing that you have to go through.
Yeah, well, that's it. With these changes and these things you want to add in, where are you normally getting the inspiration from? Is it something you create within yourself, or do you seek advice from people? Like, where do these ideas come from?
My head, I think. I have seen a couple of cool ideas that I thought I might incorporate. Like one of them, someone had these big metal poles sticking up on each corner, about 2 meters above the top of their truck, and they had a hammock just swinging on the top, which I thought was cool. But most of them are sort of ideas that I've just sort of thought about when I'm sitting by the beach in the truck. I'm like, oh, what could be cooler than this? And I'd be like, oh, what if I had a hydraulic tailgate tucked under the back of my truck that could spread out? It'd be like an al fresco deck.
Oh, cool.
And, I had the 2 back doors open and have that, and it'd be like having walls and a floor. And I want to do that, but I don't know if that's a feasible idea. They're expensive and they're also heavy. But I think they just come out of my own head when I'm sitting around going, what could be better?
That's really cool.
Well, this has been a fantastic podcast. I would love to ask that in the last couple of minutes can you show us a little bit of your van?
Of course.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. We'll wrap up here and then we'll go outside.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
Cheers. Yeah.
So this is my house truck. One of my newest things that I'm very proud of is my upright fridge. It's just like a real fridge, only smaller, and has a freezer and everything. Everything is pretty much stuck in place with sort of big corner brackets, including my big cupboard. So that is about 40% kitchen, 60% clothing. My bed, which is a traditional double bed, same as you have in a normal house. And all my lights are all 12 volts, so everything's running off solar. What else have I got? All my walls are insulated. That corner that has the bare insulation is where I'm going to have a shower eventually. And underneath the bed, so at the very back, there's a 300-litre water tank that runs to a tap outside. And to the right, I've got a couple of batteries there as well, all connected to my solar panel, which is on top of the roof.
Cool. Can I jump up and have a look?
Go for it.